Okay, thank you. You may begin with your reading, Elsa. Thank you for your intro.
Okay. Okay. So our poems, it is a small book, a beautiful book. I think everything from the cover and the way it was designed by Teresa. And, and I'll begin, most of them are very short. The poem dances. Fact, no simile or metaphor. It's the youngest limb on that tree. There it goes. My metaphor can't help itself. At 10 a.m. it becomes a boat swaying on the calm sea. And here's a fisherman, a darker silhouette on the horizon. It fits here, diastole and systole. Sometimes I forget to breathe. Then I remember how heart and lungs, or a boat and its oars, need each other to fall asleep. Everything sings, even the flagpole has a beat and a ring. Saxophone plays, moves the still air. Let me just say something. There was a man that would come and play the saxophone at the park. Not very well, but just the fact that he was there playing. And of course, there's a whole story behind that, right? Why wasn't he playing in his apartment or house? He needed the park. So this happened. Saxophone plays, moves a still air, brushes around palm trees, then stops. Other sounds take over. A car's horn, someone's voice at 11 a.m. Distance also a voyage of consonants and vowels. Only 2 miles away from home, but further. Good to travel like this, without effort, through sound and air. Alice sits in sunlight, green grass around her like an island. An ant crawls up her leg, and not until her bare arm does she notice it. Let's see how far it goes. And if she blows it away, I'll keep it in these lines. Come and ascend the poem. There are people I want to meet, not know, as if in passing some secret wink spells a name, the same a mirror holds, and we recognize each other. A poem with 2 doors, one to come in, the other to leave. 3 windows, one for the sun, one for the moon, and the third to see you walking down the road. New York, London, Paris, and the list goes on, LA, and here we are. 3 women riding in the park with our backs to the sun, face to the breeze, each in ourselves and out there. Really, here we are. Waiting is like this, sunlight on my eyes and at my back some warmth like a secret in plain sight we all share. Like the shadow of an inclined head and a hand that writes what it didn't know a minute ago. Discovery is quick, waiting is slow, and between the crow announces its arrival. In the broken notes of his saxophone, a man writes a life. This one says, I practice here because I can't at home. If they're broken, well, so is my life. But I still come to the park, and my body curves in the shade it makes. Dust settles faster than sand. This is sand as the wind lifts it, curls the grains on their way down, and they land. I think this quiet won't be for long. Uncertainty is an island with land on the other side. For now, I live on this island. It's a small word, fits in the corner of an eye, the fold of skin where upper and lower arm meet, where night and sleep meet and lull it to sleep. We carry it everywhere, old baggage or new, or it carries us like babies we are. We learn to conjugate our life with it. It's the same word for you and me. Sometimes we forget. This one is written in my two languages. Nothing is translatable unless nada es traducible and the words take you where sound and meaning conjugate y las palabras te llevan a donde el sonido y lo que dice se conjuga like agua, water, and you are thirsty for them. After the letters roll out y tienes sed de ellas, después de que las letras ruedan from your mouth y se pierden en el mundo and they get lost in the world de tu boca. Outsider moon, silver with borrowed light, your costume becomes you. Lend me your light. Conversation like a map spread out on a table. Look at this island. I'd like to go there. When the next ship sails, I wonder what clothes to take. What language is spoken? Do the ocean currents invite the swimmer? Attempt to cross the world, eyes closed. Let music guide my steps. I carry the profile of mountains drawn on my forehead. There's a moment when eyes sink in the flight of two birds, when my being doesn't know it ends here and becomes breath in the eyes, round trip and then one way. An invitation to be, when the afternoon ends, it's abbreviated walk of fish in the gray sea of the sky. I wait for your call, your voice to come from my back, the unknown door I carry to open, and that voice to envelop me like something before music and words, something before hands and eyes, something like the sea, because everything I don't know is like the sea. I only know I love you. You'll tell me why. And do I have time to read a few others that are not in the, a couple of others that are not in the book?
Maybe, sorry, maybe one or two.
One, yeah, at most.
Okay.
Of
Okay,
course.
thank you.
Yes. Okay, this one again is in both languages. So first it starts in Spanish, then it goes, the Spanish will be heard in English, but not right next to it. It's somewhere else in the poem. Nuestros nombres dicen lo que el oído recuerda. By morning, heart learned the lessons of history. It wasn't stones or sand, but written there. Lluvia como un recuerdo de algo no vivido. Love, guide through the tunnel of time, white sheet at the entrance, the other can't be seen. Kisses, traps where we fall, let ourselves fall. Por la mañana el corazón aprendió las lecciones de la historia, no eran piedras ni arena, pero escritas ahí. Our names say what the ear remembers. Rain, like a memory of something never lived. El amor guía por el túnel del tiempo, sábana blanca en una entrada, la otra no se ve. Los besos trampas en las que caemos, nos dejamos caer. Okay. This is the last one, if I have time.
Yes.
Okay. I lit all the candles and invited all my dead ones. Oh, sorry, I'll start again. I lit all the candles and invited all my dead. One by one, they arrived, dressed in the flashiest of clothes. Didn't they know this is a dark night? Refreshments are included as we sit around the table, then move around to sofas. I looked into their eyes to figure out something. Their gaze moved from mine to that slice of bagel on the table, back to mine. I think they felt out of place. I was going to say out of time, but the dead don't understand cliches. Love doesn't hold them. They don't care about poetry. That's why this isn't a poem. They came for the refreshments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elsa. I'm so glad your video is working
Oh, it
so we
is?
could see you.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, because I had a phone on. Okay.
Oh,
Actually
okay.
not looking at the phone. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
you're welcome.
Okay.
We saw everything. It's so beautiful. The
Hi,
beautiful.
Alice.
Hi,
From one end of the country to another country.
so
Okay.
beautiful.
Thank you, Alice. It was
I
good
think I'll have
memories.
to read this book again to hear your poems again.
Good memories of all of that time.
Okay, thank you. So now I'd like to introduce Alice Perot, who is the current Sunland Tahunga Poet Laureate. And she'll be reading from Sunland Park poems as well as some of her other poems. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So yes, we wrote these poems in Sunland Park, and Teresa was wonderful to produce this beautiful book. I actually took the photographs of the trees, and that was the first time I photographs have been used for anything. Thoughts in the park. How long have these pines whispered to each other secrets? A stone monument presented by the Ladies Improvement Club, 1912. I still hear the ladies gossiping in their starched aprons. 2016, the ladies reappear, walk around the park, chatter to one another. I want to listen to pine, live oak. The ladies wear sneakers and
Alice, sorry, you are muted for some reason.
I had unmuted it.
Okay.
Was it muted the whole time?
No, you started, it was not muted and then it was muted. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Well, I
Okay.
don't know where to start again.
Maybe at the beginning of that poem.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know how that happened. Maybe I touched something. Thoughts in the park. How long have these pines whispered to each other secrets? A stone monument presented by the Ladies Improvement Club, 1912. I still hear the ladies gossiping in their starched aprons. 2016, the ladies reappear, walk around the park, chatter to one another. I want to listen to pine, live oak. The ladies wear sneakers and yoga pants. We are invited to free senior lunch, a John Wayne movie, folk dance class. The drone of cars drowns out the twitter of a small bird with crested head. I wonder about a block of cement cordoned off with yellow caution tape. A curious pine branch dips down over it. Is it trying to protect or simply asking questions? The huge pine displays its rough bark in art patterns. It does not know about Georgia O'Keeffe. It will not take a selfie. Sparrow, homeless sparrow, your chirps are hidden behind the car horn alarm and my old thoughts. No one has taught you to phone home. Sweet sparrow, you do not need to make cheerful conversation with aging relatives or sip cognac, stare into a crackling fire, write poems. Little sparrow, you are not worried about the hot sun and that there are no clouds to cool you on your old lady's walk around the park. Tiny singer sparrow, you do not need to memorize your music for the performance. You do not care if we listen to you or not. Stay with the trees who pose and smile, though we do not notice. They will never psychoanalyze you or tell you who you are or whom you must become. Talk to the trees. They do not care if they are famous poets. Their poems are hidden inside their bark. I press my ear to hear. Sing to the trees, they will love you for drowning out the sirens, the loud honking of car alarms. Run and sing while the trees' branches dance with wind music, never concerned about beginnings or endings, flowing life rhythm without a single thought. 14th way to look at a blackbird, or how the blackbird looked back with respect to Wallace Stevens. Call me crow. I glisten. My caw is loud and rough. I have never heard of the bawds of euphony. I hope you got that. It's in the Wallace Stevens. It's in the 13 ways to look at a blackbird poem. So you'll have to look that up now to get that reference. And I'm sorry if it fell flat. Before bees, were they slivers of air? In ancient Greece, gods swooped and begat other gods. In Tahunga, there are hawks. Crow, cause for sweets, drops a tiny black feather. I praise him in a poem, make him famous. Arithmetic. Who weighs the flower at the end of tall hollyhock stalk? Who is measuring wind, pulling at butterfly wing? Electric trees. Are you electric? I ask the trees. Does your sap pulsate with energy that zaps us alive as we lean sideways to breathe in your forever green? Well, that's all I'm going to read from that book. And since I'm in New Jersey again, I thought I would read at least one poem from this book, which many of whose poems I wrote while living in New Jersey years ago. And this is called The Moving Photograph, Sometimes with Sound. I wander along the narrow stretch of black asphalt, the street speckled with the shadows of trees, the moving patterns like restless sleepers, and push my way past men in suits who gesticulate and talk excitedly. A small red car blaring rock and roll passes, bearing a teenager with tousled hair. He's grooving to the beat. Suddenly, the car is gone, a little splattering of indecency in the quiet. Down the sidewalk, a father tows his frowning child home early from school. Maybe she swallowed too many words whole without digesting. Another car, large and white, creaks as it lurches unevenly into a parking place in front of a church, then waits dutifully for half an hour for a soul to emerge from the church door, perhaps wondering why the squat body of an old woman comes out instead. No one sees me in my wandering down the sun-patched street. I am somehow invisible, never disturbing the moving photograph. And I'll read one more. Actually, can I read just two more?
Yes, yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so this is called This Isn't Enough. This isn't enough. It won't hold your attention. There are no explosions, flashing lights, dynamite, mad, mad dances. This poem is only the fall wind, fall passing in the air through lips scarcely there, hope in a shadow, a window reflection of you, a small breath, a faint reminder of the complexion you had in summer, a faded painting, a yawn at supper, old folks' banter before the long sleep. This isn't enough to wake them. And then my last poem is Birch Tree Trilogy. And actually this was written up in the country, the place I was telling you about before in New York State. And it's in 3 parts. 1, if you are tired of the birch tree's incessant conversation, you should go down the hill, hide indoors, watch every rerun, drink tea with aunts, uncles, brothers, and all their shadows. Fill the silence with the babble the birch trees wouldn't.
Next poem is Gracious. Old Victorian home of doctor's office, wainscoting on the walls of semi-modern exam table and cold stirrups. We knew, of course we knew, 1 week had passed, we were sure of conception. Blood test results of numbers racing up the charts, a bit too high. I never know what to look for on these images of life, still life, not in color. There they are. What do you mean they? Those numbers, those high numbers, not for waste, they're twins. Those 2 circles, rings, twins, double strollers, and money out of pocket on the evening shift. Threatened by a drunken Bosnian gangster, or was it the late night currency trader from Copenhagen? Chain smoking coffee breaks on the inn. Big bellied concerns realized and diagnosed, far away, Rhode Island bound and brown. Admitted it was true, but not conclusive, 3rd opinion or second first opinion. Depart free clinic odor of complacency. Why the hell did I need to take the day off for this? 2 p.m. 5 o'clock shadow and ask me of my origin. Vermont, for this? I asked myself the same question. Only 5 in the nation, and we get the one operating out of a free clinic. Machine-assisted family support structure and $200 a night double beds of accepted and free Mason graffiti. Multi-dome trek through dark streets while room service brought milk. I drank at some low occupancy sports bar, trying to remember, to forget. A trip home, work, and again back to Rhode Island, as this time is different, worse, with a need for miracles. Success, death, and breakfast. Forceps training and no time to cry. No outlet, just silent screams to God of grief and thanks, as you were not alone, and neither was I. No hope, just possible burial, all based on whether or not she came out with the looks of a baby, or just a clump, a ball of cells. She was the latter. Medical school seclusion and lack of bedside manner with questions of need to fill out a death certificate. Here I am explaining to almost 20 years of education that 19 weeks comes before 20. You are gone, but I am still asked to pick up your remains. Speechless again, I refuse, and now I sit and wonder if a granite finish might have been more appropriate. I think of you, know you, and speak to you. Receive from you great love in knowing that your mother and I were your choice, if not accomplished. Next poem is, there is no term for parents that lose a child. Our hearts, like fallen leaves, crushed underfoot, allowed music out of respect for the dead, never again to be whole as we slow the flow of emotions and begin the search for our belongings among the mire. This is no more a useful man. We sit and learn, 1 foot, 2 feet. Am I even teaching you, or am I just bringing back to you the knowledge of your birth? Your mutters are now sentences. Your thoughts are now actions. Soon you will stop being my little girl. Soon you will be a woman. And I will be finishing up tonight, my apologies for the terseness of this, with a poem called All I Wish I Needed in Life. She smiles slightly as her arms wrap around me, squeezing me as though this is our final goodbye, as though the day is still miraculous to her and she does not know that it will be back again tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you so much, David. Me, just sorry, I have an echo because I trying to figure this out. I just joined on my phone too, just in case. Okay, so the next poet, Susan Deercloud, I met during grad school in Vermont, and I still remember our first walk under the Vermont sky on campus in Plainfield, and our talks. And Susan really inspired me because this was a time when I just started off in poetry, and I really didn't have any guidance or very much encouragement. It was really kind of a lone road for a long time, and Susan was one of the first people that told me she loved my poem names and really encouraged me to keep writing, and that meant a lot to me. She really helped me to flourish in a lot of ways when I first started out in my poetry. So, and I am so grateful that I was able to publish a few of her collections. She has many, many, many collections, but I published Before Language, Hunger Moon, and also The Way to Rainbow Mountain, which is her most recent collection. Susan?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Teresa. You brought tears to my eyes. You've helped me flourish too. So I'm going to begin with a poem that I wrote not too long after I was diagnosed with breast cancer in spring 2017. And I didn't know then whether in 2022 I'd still be communing with other poets. So I'm very happy for that. Very thankful. And of course, since 2017, we've all gone through ever so much. I dedicate this poem to anybody who's ever suffered from cancer or died from cancer or lost somebody to cancer. Not long after sunrise. Not long after sunrise, I wake and walk to sliding door across bedroom's east wall to watch the rainy dawn, glimpse doe and newborn fawn slip in the silence between raindrops into spring bushes whose flowers have begun to fall. White scatterings like rice tossed at a wedding from long ago when all was hopeful. For weeks, I have been searching for the doe who comes every year in this way, for the fawn she brings, as though it is always the same mother who seeks out the stream, silvering behind ancient lacy spruces, good for shelter, leading that fawn whose spots blaze in first light, and the mist fading when rain gives way to sun spreading red wings over Catskill sky. How often have I stood thus enthralled, me, the doe, the fawn. Only this sunrise I sway at open door, with cancer crouched in my left breast, remembering my mother who had breast cancer, beautiful as deer, disappeared. Next poem is about my maternal grandfather, and I dedicate this poem to all the Indigenous children who have been unspeakably ravaged in the institutions of the white man. I've been traveling in Canada in the past couple of years. I visited one of those boarding schools, and it's just torn my heart apart. My grandfather was not put into a boarding school. He was dumped in an orphanage when he was 9. I found out when I was older and did research on that orphanage that there was a lot of abuse going on there. So this is for you, Grandpa, with all my heart, with all my love. Let me tell you about my Indian grandfather, how he was dragged off to an orphanage after his mother crashed through the ice while ice fishing, fought her way out only to die of pneumonia. Let me tell you what it was like for that 9-year-old boy, the times he ran away until he was able to stay in the mountains, where eventually he died of a heart attack, young, the way so many people in our family die. Let me speak his freedom. For instance, the high noon he borrowed that horse, the color of a unicorn, belonging to the stonemason he worked for, racing its white beauty up and down Main Street, blazing through a gauntlet of small town faces while shooting his pistol off in the spring air. A raven-haired, high-cheekboned Indian on a tear because another young man tried to steal my grandmother. Let me tell you how he galloped home, stood glaring with a cigarette on his front porch, blowing blue smoke rings until the cops squealed in with sirens and tried to play cowboys with his wild Indian, threatening to arrest him. How he lifted his pistol and shot bullets around their polished shoes. Dance, he laughed, dance, or I'll shoot your toes off. They started dancing while the horse, the color of a unicorn, snorted, rearing up in its own dance. Now waltz on out of here and don't threaten me again. They stumbled to their car, and Grandpa resumed blowing sacred circles and enjoying the lilacs and forget-me-nots all around. Let me tell you about my Indian grandfather who spoke one word, mother, before his great freedom-loving heart gave out. Now read one more. I thought I'd read this because we are now post overturn of Roe v. Wade. I'm going to be 72 years old in October, and I am really frightened by some of the inroads on girls and women's freedom in this country. I do not want to see our bodies owned by the state. And I remember the battle days when girls and women did not have the choice as to whether to have an abortion or not. And it was really bad. This is called The Suicide of the Moon. And another reason I'm reading it is because the first Woodstock anniversary took place not too far from where I live. And of course, Teresa, I took you there to Bethel Woods. The Suicide of the Moon. She didn't talk about it, but ever since 1969, when that strange metal thing lowered itself onto her and the bubble-headed creature emerged with its umbilical cord and jumped her in slow motion, she felt depressed. Not your once in a blue moon blues. No, this was every day and every night, desiring to die. No one noticed. Most of the world celebrated her violation and the metallic creature who gloated triumph. That world she had mirrored light for cheered as one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, beamed through space into billions of years. It is true, some leftover romantic poets cried, but certainly in America, no one much paid attention to their lunar light. Also, a bunch of Turtle Island Indians got upset, like the Iroquois who called the moon grandmother. Weeping Indians, right down there with the poets on the social scale. So she marveled when that same August, 500,000 young people dressed up like Indians and artists to create Woodstock, the greatest music festival that ever was. But hadn't she always been the glowing symbol of peace, love? Yet no hippies flashed peace symbols up at her, invisible in the rain. The rape really got to her. Love isn't very good at fighting back. She only knew how to hang out in space and inspire the sensitive ones. She was just an old grandma waning. The poets lost interest in her. The Indians went off to college and learned she was a lump of stone.
Well, thank you, Susan, for
You're
sharing
welcome.
your words. Always so heart-moving and bringing tears to our eyes. Thank you.
Welcome. Glad we got to go to Woodstock together.
Yeah, that was a nice experience. Really appreciate those memories.
Come visit again.
Definitely, hopefully I can sometime. Thank you.
My family loves you.
Oh, thank you.
You know that.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Uh,
Love you too.
Thank you.
Boom Kong, BK, would you like to read next, please? And
Sure.
you're not that far from Susan, right? Not too far.
Probably like an hour away. Maybe,
Is it?
maybe
I
when
told you
this
before.
yeah.
You know, yeah, we just missed you last time I was there. Yeah, hopefully someday we all could gather together in person.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mhm.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Very moving, deeply personal poems. Thank you for sharing. And really, thank you, Teresa, for not only publishing us, but creating this community of poets of Shabda Press, and for getting us together and read. I'm honored to be among such a high esteem poets. So I have this book, The Doctor Will Fix It, and you know, this was the first time I became a father, and around that time, my daughter was 2 years old when number 45 came as president, and I was paying attention, and I was very scared in terms of all the stuff that was happening. The Me Too movement, the anti-Asian violence, the anti-immigration sort of sentiment and policies, all that stuff was going on. And I wrote to Teresa. I said, I got to put this stuff down, and she accepted my proposal. And this is how the book came to be. This is a photograph of my daughter on the cover of the book. So I'll read 4 poems from the book, and that'll be it. I'm
Sorry, BK, for
yeah.
interrupting. I also want to mention that BK is Cambodian American, and he has an incredible story about his grandmother and how he he survived, how she really saved him from the Cambodian genocide. And if you have 1 or 2 poems about that, I would love for you to share as well.
Sure, I'll see what I could do.
Okay.
But I'll read the first 4 poems from here.
Okay,
If you have
thank you
time,
so
I'll read
much.
another one. No problem, Teresa. Of course. As Teresa said, I'm a child survivor of the Cambodian genocide and an orphan. And my grandmother raised me. During the Khmer Rouge regime, there was this sort of, there was this a kind of attempt by the Khmer regime to destroy any notion of family love, because family love was a threat to the Khmer regime. So for me to become a father was not only personally important, but I think historically, very important for me to have children as a form of resisting against the Khmer Rouge and what they did to us. So the first poem I'll be reading is called Moon in Khmer. And my daughter's name is Shabda, which means moon in Khmer. So it is a poem about her and what she means to me. Moon in Khmer, you are light when the sun is punched out and darkness reigns. You are the antidote to what came before. Black blood, black heart, hands tied, kneeling before a ditch of human bones. Your laughter pierces the silence of night that bore witness to the once blood-soaked land. Your existence is resistant to the genocide that orphaned your father and drove his family out of the homeland. You are love against the hate of the Khmer Rouge. This is the meaning of your name, Shabda. This is how to defeat Pol Pot. As a father, as a parent, what you always want to do is to protect your child. There are things that are outside of our control and our ability to do so. This is a poem about an accident that we had on our way to see my wife's family in Pennsylvania. There was this truck in front of us, and whatever happened, the tire flew out of the, from the truck, and it hit us. So this is a poem about that. Glass. The possessed tire came out of nowhere as we drove on I-287. It flew over our Dodge Stratus. It flew over Janda's pack of play, crayons and coloring pad, a stuffed puppy named Rosie. Our Janda, strapped in the rear-facing seat, suck on a pacifier and stare at the fast-moving cars and trucks. It flew over my wife gripping the steering wheel. It flew over me thinking about a paper for a conference in Akron. And I saw the tire, slow, almost graceful, slide across the blue sky, my eyes squinting from the sun's glare, watching the tire spin, hit the grill of a truck behind us, and ricochet, spinning with full force towards us. Later that night, my wife asked, "Would you use your body to shield our daughter from harm?" Yes, I told her. But I didn't tell her how quickly the tire spun in the air and flew straight at us. I didn't tell her that I closed my eyes. This is the poem about that time when there were news and video footages of children being locked up in cages, audio files of immigrants screaming in this sort of madness and dark sort of chaos. And around that time, it was Father's Day. And my wife and daughter were celebrating this day. And, you know, as a parent and as a person of color, there's a lot of stuff that was happening. So I wrote this poem in response to that. The privilege of being able to celebrate Father's Days while others did not have that honor. Unhappy Father's Day. With her mother's hand guiding hers, Janda writes, "I love Daddy Monster. I like skateboarding with you. And my favorite, you are an owl. But my joy is mixed with anguish, sadness, rage this Father's Day. Her gift brings up the horrors of those parents who are detained, who watch their children torn away from their trembling hands. Grown men and women weep. Some men hang themselves with belts from Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, because there's nothing they could do. I too was just like them. My uncles, aunts, grandparents took what they could carry, me and my grandmother's bag, and we left Cambodia to seek refuge in America. How is my family different from theirs? Legality is but a line drawn across the desert to keep out the inhuman. Tents are constructed, warehouses converted into holding cells. Parents and children are separated, placed in corrals like cattle. A child with a Michael Jordan t-shirt that says, "Just do it," convulses as he watches his father dragged away by armed officers. A mother gets down on her knees, tie her daughter's shoes, not knowing if she will ever tie them again. As I hold Janda, my smile crumbles. All I hear is the maddening, blinding roar of children crying, women weeping, grown men groaning. This is the last poem from the book. And the book is in honor of my wife. Everything that I have done successfully depends on her. And this book is for her, and this is the last poem. It's called Poetry Doesn't Sell. It doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't pay for your auto and life insurance, your medical bills and mortgage expenses. It doesn't send your children to college or set up your retirement fund. It doesn't help a friend dying from cancer. It doesn't fix a leaking roof help buy a brand new car. It doesn't even mean what it says half the time. Poetry is your daughter looking up, saying daddy for the first time. It is after apple picking one afternoon in a tiny studio near the university. You and your girlfriend were making sandwiches, and you touch her hand. She turned around, rested her head on your chest. You breathe in her autumn hair. She smells so sweet, tender, and warm. It wasn't the Macy's perfume you bought her last Christmas. It was her. Right then you knew she would be the mother of your daughter. Thank you. Do you want me to read the other poem if I could find it, Therese, or we're good?
Sure, sure. If you could find it, yes, that would be amazing.
I'm just going to Google it and see if it's there.
Sure. Thank you. And Hazel, would you like to be next? Oh, I can't hear you. Sorry. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
I would be
okay.
happy to. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Therese, I have all these poems online, but I can't find the poem Gruel. Yeah, I can't find it for now, Therese.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. If you find it later, maybe after when we
Sure.
share
Thank you.
again. Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Therese.
Thank you. So Hazel, thank you so much, BK. Really, really appreciate your reading. So moved. So Hazel, I have had the honor of not just knowing in our community. She lives in my city. We served as Altadena Poet Laureates together, and we actually edited 2 anthologies together. Oh, let me put my video on. Sorry. We edited 2 anthologies together, and I am so honored to have published her book, Down Freedom Road, and looking forward to hearing from Hazel.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And I just want to say congratulations to Shabda Press and to Teresa for this wonderful journey of 11 years of publishing the poetry and prose of such a diverse audience. And we really need those voices. And I think now we need them more than ever. So it's a great honor to be here and to know Teresa, who has been one of my great inspirations.
Thank you.
I'm going to read the first poem I'm going to read. Down Freedom Road is really about my journey across America as a Black woman, and many of the experiences and the people that I've known and the people that I've looked up to. The first one is Harriet Tubman. I write a lot about the Black experience because it is my experience. And Harriet Tubman was such a superhero, shero, that I learned about. Black history was not something that was taught in public schools, and so much of it I learned on my own. And so I really enjoy writing about it. Harriet Tubman. Big Dipper, North Star, slave song rising, pitch black night, she be coming like a seed pushing up, coming like north wind blowing south, shadow rising, gun barrel tween the eyes, blade razor sharp, cut bleeding, night train running. Better get on board, be free or die, she say. Be free or die. The next one is called Blues for Lady Day, about the great singer. The blues in all shades and hues rose from the bottom of the Mississippi on bridges, barges, bayous, and bales of cotton. The blues, down home blues, sugar cane alley blues. I ain't got no shoes blues. I just got laid off blues. My man done left me blues. The blues swept north on a train on the chords of Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Blew into Chicago, New York, Detroit, LA. It was in all the news. And somewhere among the blues, Sam Cooke sang, "A change is gonna come," while B.B. King played Lucille. And Billie Holiday sang the blues, lived the blues, was the blues. And the day she died, a newborn baby cried the blues. I grew up in a family of 5, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And my sisters, you know, how it is in a large family, we fought a lot, but we also loved a lot. And so this poem is called 3 Sisters. Corn, beans, squash, 3 companion crops growing together in the yard. Me, big sister, a corn stalk, tall, spindly, steadily reaching for sky, a pole for beans to climb. Middle sister, a string bean, eager to climb, giving her juices to help us grow. Little sister, yellow crook-neck squash, vines spreading low, protecting, preventing weeds from choking us. Corn, beans, squash, 3 sisters growing together in the yard. The next poem is called Love Letter to Grandpa. I never knew him. He died the year before I was born, but my mother adored him. And she told me many stories about him. And so I feel as if I know him through her. And so this is a poem that I wrote about my grandpa, Fred. In that old sepia photo, you look so handsome dressed in your Sunday go-to-meeting suit. Your face solemn as a Baptist preacher. Handlebar mustache trimming your upper lip. Eyes looking forward as if they could see the storms ahead. Now I know why Big Mama fell in love with you. For her, your tough and tender hands dug up barrels of Georgia clay, turned them into bales of cotton, reached up, plucked stars from the sky, stroked the moon. Mama said when you prayed, angels wept and heavens parted. The year before my seed sprouted from her garden, your legs leaped over rainbows, crossed the River Jordan, and headed home to Calvary. Now I grow in ground you plowed, weeded, planted. I never sat on your lap or called you grandpa, but one day we'll meet and walk hand in hand into the rising sun. Freedom Road, Jim Crow laws, charred black bodies, strange fruit hung from southern trees. American flag drenched in blood, sick and tired. Black migration, escape from terror. Harlem Nights, weary blues. Lift every voice. March on Washington. Freedom fighters. Voter registration. Many rivers to cross. Hurricane Katrina. Black folks left to drown. Mother Emanuel, blood on the cross. First Black president. Amazing grace. Voices echo down halls, white backlash, Charlottesville, Virginia. Encroaching shadows, tiki torches, hate and terrorism, dark brew of troubles. Homelessness, wolves eat babies, strange the stars. Press on, children, taste freedom. Hear the dawn birds sing. The next one is Lost and Found, and then I'll read one more. Far and wide, I've traveled this foreign land, seeking a place to lay my weary breast, passing valleys where my kind have been banned, hoping to find a grove where I can rest. At times, I wonder if my life's been cursed. To ease the fears and troubles in my mind, I've read the Bible, chapter, line, and verse. And nowhere does it say God is colorblind. So low I've fallen, my head bows in shame. I want to jump in a river and drown. But then I hear the Lord calling my name, telling me I've been lost and now I'm found. Now I know my home is where'er I am. He is my shepherd and I am his lamb. And the last poem is called Meditation on a Supermoon. Oh, supermoon hanging so large and luminous in the sky, I gaze at you in wonder. Are you a lantern made to light the way for ships lost at sea? Or the lens of a great telescope from a distant galaxy? Or are you Earth's faithful lover come to bathe her tonight in your ineffable light? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hazel. Beautiful. Yeah, my heart is just so warmed listening to everyone's poetry, just so moved, so much humanity in everyone's poetry. Mariko Kitakubo, would you like to go next? So Mariko is in Tokyo right now. So honored to have her zooming in from across the Pacific Ocean, joining us. And she is an amazing Tonka poet. And so honored to have published her Tonka collection Indigo. And next year, I'm really honored to have the privilege of publishing Mariko and Deborah Kaloji, a collaboration. So Deborah Kaloji, who will be reading after Mariko, is a haiku poet, and they are collaborating on Tonka haiku Tonka sequences. So this is going to be really incredible, and I can't wait to read your collections. Mariko, would you like to begin, please? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you.
Sorry. May I start? Thank you
No,
so
I'm
much.
on mute. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa, to invite. I'm very honored to be invited to this very, very nice celebration for Shabda Press. And I really, really moved of another poet. It's so honored also to join these beautiful, beautiful members. Okay, I will recite in Japanese and English from Indigo. 始まりは太古の海のひとしずく。今も波間に森歌のせり。A tiny drop of the ancient ocean. Our story has begun. Can you hear the lullaby? Waves are still playing now. Nagaされず過去は沈みぬ天の川。涅槃のように映せるメコン。Milky Way, like a sleeping Buddha on the Mekong. History is settling in the bottom of the river.この森を殺めたくなし明け方の霧の湧く音、木の眠る音。I don't wish to harm this forest. At dawn, the sound of a mist swirling, the sound of trees sleeping. Sleeping.潤える森の時間をありがとう。片ばみの花、備えて帰る。In gratitude for a time of enrichment among the trees, I place an oxalis flower reverently on the stump. Fuji山の眠り静けし森の神。 水のカミラの立ち上がり来る。Pure silence, deep sleep of Mount Fuji. They appear, the forest god and the god of water. Ari no mama no 姿に立てる百合の花。語らず愛を伝う真っ白さ。Whiteness of the lilies. They don't need to express their love. Just stand as they are. Mo 5年経つんですね。柚子切りのそばをすすれる母といた席。5 years now since I sat there with late mother, supping on noodles flavored with citron.月光に浸る竹林。月光に浸る竹林同心が無地なに化けて母を呼ぶなり。Moonlit night in the bamboo forest, a child god transformed into badger to summon his mother. Fuki damaru あのあたりから隠りよか。母の好みし桜の並木。Cherry Avenue, my late mother's favorite. Is there another word? Petal drift.透明な青を最も好みいつ原子炉内に見られるまで。Cobalt blue was my favorite color until I could see it in atomic in atomic waste. Furusato no せせらぎの音を思いいつストロンチウムシムル胎盤sounds of the stream in my homeland. Strontium is soaking into the placenta.晩年はいつからならん廃村に親猫が子を産んでいるなり。When will my later years start? A mother cat has babies at a ruined village in Fukushima. Himawari no Shushi Amatanari Sennengo. 青々として人なき星に thousand years later sunflower seeds maybe there are no people on our mother planet.永遠を信じたくなるアカシアのそばに親子の像を見し午後。I'd like to believe in eternity. One noon beside the acacia tree, an elephant with a baby. 一心に流れて海へ放たれる生死の際のようなる過去 intently flowing the river empties into the sea. Its mouth like a border between life and death.
Thank you so much, Mariko. It's so beautiful to
you.
hear your Japanese and
So sorry,
English.
my very, very bad English pronunciation.
Oh no,
I'm so
thank
sorry.
you. No,
Almost everybody
thank you.
couldn't understand. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, please don't apologize. It's beautiful that you shared in your original Japanese language and you spoke in English and you shared in English, and it was very moving to me. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Deborah, would you like to go next?
Okay. Okay, so I was very happy to have Teresa publish my book, and I'm going to read from it, Highway of Sleeping Towns. It's all haiku. So my poems are going to be very short, and hopefully it won't be too long. For some reason, my document, okay, there we go. White marble. I am small at the feet of Lincoln. Train station. The flutter of wings in a chandelier. Highway of sleeping towns. The Milky Way. Thistles in bloom. Grandmother's needle threaded with purple. The quilt she made me 40 years ago. Winter rain. Cold summer. One suitcase circling baggage claim. In spite of your silence, the birth of stars. Lingerie drawer after the divorce. Skip year. The world so big without you in it. Summer sea. Morning tide pools. A hermit crab tries on the bottle cap. Echoes of polkas. A row of empty accordion cases. Dozen red roses. She examines the bruise in the mirror. Summer quiet. The stars dare me to count them. A flower blooms where it shouldn't. Premature baby. Tracing my name in marble. Autumn loneliness. Winter sea. The rise and fall and fall. Taps. All we could say. Now said. Silent cannon at Gettysburg. Bird song. And that's my short reading from my book. Teresa, Mariko, I said I wasn't going to ask, but I was just wondering if I should have as a kind of a preview one sequence with Mariko.
Oh, that would be lovely. I think that would be really beautiful if you
Mariko, are you ready
Mariko.
to read it? Mariko?
Yes. Yes.
I was going
I
to,
like reading. Wait a
we're
moment.
going to read Under the Sun.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, this sequence is called Under the Sun. And I'm reading haiku, and sometimes Mariko will start with a tanka and I respond to it. And sometimes I start with a haiku and she responds to my haiku. So it varies as to which one is first. This one happens to be my haiku that starts. Early heat wave, the shade tree not yet leafed out.
Road barrage. Wait for thunder. Ordering a scoop of pistachio ice cream. Debbie, if you want, please repeat after my tanka.
Earth baked by relentless sun, my wide-brimmed hat.
High tide. Tomorrow always comes the shiny edge of the field of vision.
Aloe vera, the cool rub down after a heated argument.
The phones were young green. Never-ending vacation in Mallorca.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's very exciting. I love the conversation you and Mariko are having with each other in these forms. Yes, I do encourage everyone to look on the Shabda Press website and support all of these wonderful poets and read their work. Sit down with them, sit down with their words, and yes, thank you for sharing. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for publishing us. I have so many memories of our readings in New York when books were launched. And it was great.
Yeah, it's an honor, Debbie. It's an honor. So we have two more poets, Gerda and Cathabella. Gerda, would you like to go next?
Yes. Okay. Thank
so
you.
Gerda, she does amazing community work here with poetry. She started a group called Pasadena Rose Poets, bringing poetry to unexpected places, including the city council. So we would read our poems during city council meetings, and it really changed the vibe, the atmosphere, and perspective of the room. So it's really wonderful work that Gerda's doing. She edited the first Pasadena Rose Poets Poetry Collection 2019 and the Pasadena Rose Poets Poetry Collection 2022 is coming soon in September. So very excited about that. And Gerda, if you'd like to say a few more words about.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. The Pasadena Rose Poets has been a real journey for all of us. And it started with the city of Pasadena, and they had gotten some funding from the NEA, and they had these different modules of dance and acting and dancing, and there was no poetry components. I got a call from the head of arts and culture, Rochelle Branch, and she said, let's put our heads together and come up with something. So we came up with readings at noontime in we came up with the readings. And we did that for a while. Then we started reading at the library. Then we started reading all over LA, Tijuana, San Diego. And we're going to be celebrating our 6th year in September with the publication of our new book. I'm all excited. I love all the work that I've heard tonight. And so I'll just jump in. The first ones I'm going to read is from the first Pasadena Rose Poets Collection 2019. Body of water flows back and forth. Body of water drinks me in. Body of water, thirsty no more. Body of water, this holy body, mine. The next one I'm going to read, this actually occurred, I read this at City Council. There was a motion as to whether or not Pasadena would be a sanctuary city. And I got there, I couldn't find a parking spot. There were TV cameras everywhere. It was jam-packed. I was able to get in. And I was with Hazel at the time. And I had brought 3 poems to read, and it just seemed relevant based on what was happening. So I whipped out my iPhone and I wrote a poem and I read it that night, and here it is. I am an immigrant. City council chambers packed. Mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, aunties, uncles. Hearts pound, fear, hope, frustration. Mark their faces. Voices rise. What does courage look like? This is what courage looks like. What does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like. Lives stitched together with threads of resistance, stuck in concrete shadows and chain link fences and dreams. Life buckles under everyday threat of arrest, deportation. Use our words, influence intellect. What does courage look like? This is what courage looks like. What does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like. Because we struggle, we gain strength. Because there is no light, we learn to see in the dark. Our voices bring freedom from inside out. Came with nothing. This country gave us everything. What does courage look like? This is what courage looks like. What does democracy look like? This is what democracy looks like. We will stand with you if you stand with us. We will have your back if you have our backs. This is another one from the same book. Paradise Interrupted. Walk along Marin Valley Road, drafted by Cuchama, Sacred Mountain. Split in half by San Diego, Tecate, Mexico border. Low-lying grass crushed by monster tires out of control. Earth mangled by tracks, deep enough to snap ankles. No fly zone for birds. At distance, bright red. Flowers, soften landscape. Joyful, get closer. Horror, red plastic shotgun casings. Trail trash, beauty moans. Long gone, shooters, reckless. Bullet graze friends home. Splintered tree limbs, trunks. Whether we look or not, earth, mountains, ancestors, remember. The next group of poems is coming from our new publication of the Pasadena Rose Poets in September. Becoming, Tension rips us apart. Caution does push-ups. Decisions collide. Weeds tie our hands. Minute by minute, we disappear, reappear, lost. Claw way back. Solution motionless. Weeds separate us. Horizon shrinks. Ground trembles. Off balance. Weeds pierce our ears. Division close ranks. Cloak of possibilities touch. Permission sets up house. Windows, doors fly open. Ripe yellow flowers sway. Fragrance of us. Sweet. Mothers who carry their own water. When there is no well, land is parched, mouth dusty, skin cracked. Bloody fingers plant thornless roses. Mothers who carry their own water are viewed with discomfort. Curtains of words fall. I don't know what to say. Time heals all. Whispers trail behind like tails, a reminder of what could happen to them. Mothers who carry their own water live through, in, under, around the death of their children. How? They never ask why. Lean on winds of change. Find warmth in cold places. Push through to survive, to thrive. Move beyond black and white. Traverse shades of gray. Refuse to stay stuck in grave. Dig deep for well inside. Personal. Uncover, collect family stories, hidden in corners under hearts. Words quench tongues on fire. Life opens wide. Wrap arms around us as memories bite. Go underneath, release nuggets of sweetness while balancing on high wire. And the rest is part of my unpublished collection. I am. I write as I am. I am as I write. Wings. Hold fast to dreams. If dreams die, life is a broken wing. Temper tantrum. 2-year-old had numerous temper tantrums on June 6th. During lunch, his weapons of choice was a tablecloth, ketchup, and dishes that took a beating as he pulled the tablecloth off the table. It came to light from one of his staff members who was told by other staff that when the kid was in the car that they named the beast, he used his bare hands to choke his driver when told, no, you cannot go and play at the Capitol. After all, they, the mob, were not after him, just hunting for the vice president. This is the tip of a massive iceberg. When these stories broke, word spread quickly. Subsequently, justice ripped off her blindfold as waiting keeps calibrating. This is the last one. He whispers, there is honey of empathy all over you, ripe for tasting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gerda. Cathabella. So Cathabella, I met through the haiku circles. She has these gatherings at her home and different places in the community, like the Asian Museum in Pasadena. And we write and we share our poetry, and her husband Rick Wilson plays the flute. And hi Rick, how are you? Oh, I don't have my video. Plays the flute, and they're very lovely people. I'm very grateful to have them here. Share the poetry. Thank you, Cathabella.
Thank you,
And
Teresa.
Rick.
And Rick will play, Rick will play, he actually plays hundreds of flutes, as some of you know, and he'll play one tonight. And I want to start with one from the Altadena Poetry Review, which was so beautiful. And the reason I want to read this one is it's like saying thank you to Teresa, to is that how you say it? How do you pronounce your name?
Oh, yeah. My last name is Chuk, and my middle name is Mi. My Vietnamese, my first name is Due, so Mi Due is normally how they would say it, Due, or you can combine the middle and first name together, Mi Due. Thank you.
Yes, maybe you could put in the chat or somewhere, send how to pronounce it so that I can and everyone else can other times, because I know it's very beautiful and meaningful. And this it feels like this is about Teresa Chue, who does so much for everyone with all of her heart, everything she does with all of her heart. Flight from Yaz. The heart has no name, no address. It only pretends to be in the body. It hides there in the chest, curled up like a fetus, not knowing how big it can get. The heart is always ready to escape. It is not man or woman, animal or bird. The heart is always waiting, tapping its foot in the queue, always taking off or landing, applauding the pilots.
Thank you so much, Cathabella.
I wasn't planning to read that poem, but I did because I thought of how much heart. It's so evident to anyone. Even people that don't know you at all can feel it here. But you use it all the time in your teaching, in your editing, in your dealings with every person every minute, I know.
Oh, thank you so much, Cathabella. And Cathabella is going to also read from Nuclear Impact, Broken Atoms in Our Hands. And this is a collection that I edited and published in 2017 about the impact of nuclear weapons, nuclear power plants. Mariko has poems in here as well. And just raising awareness about the impact of nuclear.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing and big anthology. It must be 3 inches thick. It's really an amazing book and precious. I don't want to take much time. I'll read 1 tanka, 2 haiku, and 1 short free verse from there. And I have quite a few poems in this book, the many free verse. So I wrote the tanka to be able to say that things that are powerful can be used for positive effect, even nuclear energy. So scintigraphy is a kind of test that can go and look inside the body with nuclear power to cure and to reveal what's there inside the organs. As there are other ways of doing this, but this is one of them that's very positive and powerful. Scintigraphy. From the eternal fire, a nuclear spark of insight to see the breaks. It's often looking at bones. Scintography from the eternal fire, a nuclear spark of insight to see the breaks. This one is a haiku. Hiroshima Day. A shakuhachi cracks at every node. Hiroshima Day. A shakuhachi cracks at every node. Nuclear family, 50 years later, still his fallout. Nuclear family, 50 years later, still his fallout. And then just one of the free verse poems that I love. And this one was inspired originally and then applied to this theme because it was written on having to do with Manzanar and the Japanese internment. It's called Recollection. I hold my ears closed all the way against the broadcast ordinary, so that the recurring horse can nod into dream gold mountains, his inquisitive snort. I hold my ears closed hours against officialdom, against the who and the what, so masterful landscape can speak to the horse in dream purple evening. So long as my ears are closed, I can fit the horse inside my head. It neighs and feeds on significance, feeds on the forgotten.
Thank you, Castabella and Rick. What a lovely way to finish this gathering. I really appreciate everyone's reading and spending time with everyone, listening to everyone and sharing the space. It's very precious. And like Hazel expressed, I really feel this was a sacred circle that we shared today.
Thank you, Teresa, for doing this. It's very amazing.
Thank you. I hope we all keep in touch.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you so much,
Mariko.
Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you. Sending love to everyone here and blessings.
And a kiss. Mwah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Well, take care, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Take care. Thank you, Susan, for doing your first Zoom with us. Okay, thank you.
It could not have been a better one. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. We'll keep in touch. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.